Ruslan.
The Chosen's creator, director, executive producer, Dallas Jenkins, finally responded to all the hoopla online about them allegedly flying a rainbow flag. In this video, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts to his reaction, the areas I disagree, and if you stay till the end, to the very, very end, I'll share with you guys one area I actually disagree with him on. All right, let's jump into this. So I'm going to jump in at the 2 minute and 6 second mark of Dallas's response from The Chosen. And before I share this aspect, he basically says that all of this stuff that's happened is stuff that they've already been clear on for a while. And so that's why he wasn't in a hurry to respond to it. He was also working on season 4. And here is when he gets into the particulars of what actually happened. So let's jump right into this. I'll try to make it through the majority of the video and give you guys my thoughts.
So one of our crew members, one of my favorite crew members actually, an independent contractor. Our crew members are independent contractors. So this would be like if you hired a crew to come build your home or paint your office space. He has a 3-inch pride flag on his own personal equipment. He has it on every project that he works on. He's had it on his equipment on our project for over a year. He's been with us for a while. And it happened to show up in the corner of one of our behind the scenes videos for a few seconds.
I think it's interesting that he pointed out that this was an independent contractor. An independent contractor, for those of you guys that know anything about running businesses, an independent contractor is 1099. An independent contractor is not an employee. An independent contractor is their own business entity that comes alongside and provides services for another business. Okay. When Zach first came on to work with us, he was an independent contractor. Then he became an employee. When Chris first came on to work with us, he was an independent contractor. And then this month, he became an employee. There are different arrangements of how people are structured in a business, and an independent contractor is different than someone that's an employee, that's someone that's signing all of the particulars of maybe your code of conduct, so on and so forth. They are their own autonomous entity. So I think it's important that Dallas points that out, and specifically that this was someone who is using their own equipment, and on their own equipment, there was a 3-inch flag that shows up into 4 seconds of the video. And again, I kind of went over this, shared my thoughts on this on the previous video, but we're reacting to Dallas's breakdown of this right now.
And someone asked about it, which isn't the first time we've been asked about things like that, maybe even that specifically in the past. And we violated our own rule about responding on someone else's turf, and we ended up giving kind of a standard answer that we give when asked about our cast and crew's personal beliefs, which we get asked about all the time.
So he said they violated their own terms, meaning that it doesn't, I don't want to read too much in between the lines, but it doesn't sound like the response was warranted or it was something that they were specifically excited about the response even coming out, because later on the response from Twitter was taken down by The Chosen's official Twitter account. So that's an important thing to note.
And that was a mistake, because this issue is a little bit more nuanced than just a standard, what does your cast and crew believe answer.
So he said that was a mistake. Interesting. So he acknowledges that the response that came out was a mistake. Did I hear Dallas correctly on that? I think that's a fair assessment.
About our cast and crew's personal beliefs, which we get asked about all the time. And that was a mistake, because this issue is a little bit more nuanced than just a standard, what does your cast and crew believe answer. So to be clear, there was no flag flown. A 3-inch flag doesn't fly anyway. And there's been no statement made by The Chosen about Pride or Pride Month or anything like that. There's no promotion of anything happening, unlike some of the headlines and some of the hysterical rantings we've seen. Now, again, not everyone who comments on this is hysterical. I'm not saying that. Many of you have very legitimate and fair questions.
So he says that was a mistake, and then obviously, a 3-inch flag is not, it's not the same. People have asked me about what would I do in my own situation, and I was very transparent. If you guys had watched my previous video, that our mixing engineer, the guy that mixes all of my music, is not a Christian. Our mixing engineer is a big consumer of cannabis. Our mixing engineer is also a Palestinian who I have strong disagreements on the whole Israel-Palestinian conflict. And so to me, this would be similar of me having him work on some stuff, him putting something on, and maybe me sharing it. And in the background, there's some weed smoke and there's a Palestinian flag in the background. To me, it would be a similar thing as that. If he were to post something on Instagram stories of a snippet of one of my latest songs, I share it, and then in the shot, there's some smoke, there's a Palestinian flag, there's some other stuff that I don't fully endorse, but I was just excited to show people the progress on the song. I think that's a similar parallel than someone coming in flying a pride flag in the studio. That's not what was happening. It's a 3-inch flag that was in 4 seconds. So if I was in the same situation, I probably would have been a bit more careful about what I shared. But if I was in the same situation, I shared it and I didn't catch that, oh no, there's a bunch of weed smoke in the background and there's a Palestinian flag or some sort of flag I don't agree with. I think it would be closer parallel to that, and I would have tried to be careful on the front end, but if it happened on the back end, I wouldn't be losing my mind over 4 seconds that someone could take in frame, which, by the way, this has happened to The Chosen forever. People are always finding something to nitpick and be upset about, and they've also consistently been very clear that they do work with non-Christian actors, non-Christian contractors, and anyone that's ever done anything creative, especially at any sort of scale, will acknowledge that this is not uncommon to have folks that aren't Christian working on Christian projects.
Just saying that when you look on social media, you're always going to be shown the most engaging and eye-catching and clickbaity headlines, and it's, I'm sure, going to throw you off sometimes and cause some confusion. So in our now or never, all or nothing times, this turned into a bit of a culture war, kind of an intra-Christian culture war.
Of course.
And we're getting compared to companies that actively promote whatever woke agenda that people are concerned about.
And this is by far the most L take in all of this, is comparing The Chosen to Target and Bud Light.
Darkness.
That's a complete disaster and absolutely false equivalency. Hey, before we go on any further, I got to show you something kind of crazy. Hey, you want to see something crazy? Over 50% of the people who watch this channel are not subscribed. And out of the people that are subscribed, less than 10% actually have their bell notification on. So do me a solid. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure the bell notification is turned on so you don't miss anything we got going here. All right? While you're at it, smash that like button one time for the algorithm. All right? So let's jump right back into Dallas here.
So on our set, just to be clear, this is nothing new. Like I said, we've had for a long time, our cast and crew have wildly different beliefs. They run the spectrum, and they sometimes wear t-shirts or hats that go across the entire spectrum, from a pride flag or a MAGA hat or a Jesus Saves shirt. And no one's been triggered. No one on our set minds. Everyone loves our fellow cast and crew members, including the overwhelming majority of our visitors and like our extras, our background extras who come in and see all of this stuff. And unless people are jerks or don't work hard, we are a huge, like we're a family. We're very tight-knit on set. Everyone loves the experience. And our personal policy has always been that we don't police individual workspaces or social media. So when we bring on independent contractors like our cast and crew, just from the beginning, Amanda and I, when we first started The Chosen, and my partner Daryl and others, we've just made it very clear to each other, to our cast and crew, and to you actually, that we do not have a religious or political litmus test for who we hire, and we also do not police individuals' social media or their own personal workspaces, like their own gear, their own equipment, their own t-shirts. And we just made that decision years ago. I'll explain why in...
I think that's an interesting position that he takes, in that he doesn't police people's social media. I think it's whack that more and more companies are policing people's social media. I think it's whack that people in Christianity will find something from someone's social media and then attempt to hold everyone affiliated with said person or said position hostage. It's very, very cancel culture-ish of us who do these sorts of things.
A little bit. But our cast and crew can say what they want on social media, and as long as they are not harming anyone else on set, kind of the usual rules of, everyone just kind of respecting each other, they're their own person. And even in this last week, some of our cast said some things online that I wouldn't have said, and we talked about it, and I just said, you can say what you want, but I think, here's examples of wisdom that we could practice, and but that's just how we've operated from the beginning.
So I think here is where a lot of people were also taken aback, and reading in the comments section were taken aback, is, okay, Dallas, we get it. You hire non-Christians. All right, Dallas, we get it. There are people from the LGTB community. we understand that. Okay, one of those guys had their own flag on his equipment. Okay, but some of the cast and crew coming out in open support of the LGTV seemingly, and then saying someone who says that if you have an issue with that, then you have a problem with that. I think that's what Dallas is getting at in terms of some, and I'm honestly not super reflective on which actors and which staff that was, but there was at least 2 tweets that I saw where folks in their response were pushing back and saying, well, you know, if you have an issue with this, then you have an issue with that. And that's some of the comments that I saw. So I think that is people's pushback in terms of like, hey, wait a minute, like what's going on with these folks co-signing this flag and this month and this whole thing. And again, I think to Dallas's point, he's saying he doesn't police people's social media. So I think that's what he's getting at, in that he still disagrees with some of his own staff and the way they went about it, and that he wouldn't have said it that way, and that you could practice wisdom, which I think that's what people are all asking for at the end of the day. Like, what does wisdom look like in this situation? I think Dallas would probably acknowledge that wisdom would have probably been more careful about that 4 or 5 seconds cutting through on the behind the scenes video right before the month of June. I think that would be wisdom. In the same spectrum, now that we're here, could we be, could Christians be a bit more charitable and not compare The Chosen to Target, not compare this to as a full-on endorsement or as if they're doing some sort of special June episode? Yes, we could be. And now you're almost getting into this like back and forth with some of the actors and who's going to push their chest out bigger. And I think Dallas is attempting to diffuse this.
So this particular issue this week, this is not our problem. We're doing the same thing we've always done. It's a philosophy we've had all along. We've communicated it repeatedly. Our visitors and whatnot see it when they come. In fact, when we filmed the feeding of the 5,000, some of our crew members, in fact, one of our crew members had this pride flag on his own personal equipment then too. So there's nothing for us to do about this because I don't change my mind based on responses. But there's nothing for us to do but repeat what we've already said. And if this issue bothers you, that's fine. But that's not really something for us to be concerned with or try to change. You don't like my philosophy on personal workspaces on my set? Okay. I mean, again, like I said, this is not the first time. And I just don't make decisions based on disagreements or how people might respond. That said, here is a refresher. Now, before you turn off the video because you go, that's it. I knew it. They're not going to apologize. They're not going to change their mind and they're wrong and I'm done. That's fine. But
I'm not sure what are they supposed to apologize for? I think there's a reasonable place to say, I would have been more careful with that clip coming out. That's reasonable. I don't understand what are they apologizing for? What's the apology? That they hire people that are not Christians? That like you want The Chosen to apologize for that? I think that's a terrible take. What is there exactly to apologize for? Right? That some of their staff, some of their actors have differing views on this. That's the apology, that they work with people that are like. That's the part that I'm having trouble. That I'm having trouble factoring in is, are we actually listening to what happened and what transpired, or are we taking it and amplifying it into something that's not even real and being hysterical about something? There's a tension there, right? Like, what would the apology? Sorry for allowing an independent contractor have a 3-inch flag on his own equipment. Is that is that really what people are expecting?
But here's a refresher on things we've said before and maybe some little clarifications on things we haven't said yet. Number one, and this is very important, we are not a church. We are not a nonprofit. We're not a ministry. We're not any kind of religious or political organization. Now, the content itself can be ministerial, of course.
Sure.
And even the term Christian production, I've heard that thrown around.
Which, again, like we all know this. How do you guys not know this about The Chosen? The Chosen is a for-profit business. Dallas has literally said all of this on my channel. He said this about them hiring non-Christians and working with people who are atheists and not Christians. Like, all of this is fairly common knowledge. So I'm still having trouble people understanding how this is a thing.
Again, I haven't been paying much attention to social media, but when my team has been obviously asking me some questions about how to respond. And I've heard the term on a Christian production, you shouldn't XYZ. I'm not exactly sure what that term means, to be honest. Now, don't let that scare you. Can a production be Christian? The content can, of course. I mean, we're a show about Christ, so we're probably one of the most Christian content in history because we are about Christ, who's in the word Christian. But the production itself, the equipment, the crew, the team, the set, I mean, we film all over the place on different sets, and we work with different vendors, and we don't have any kind of corporate policy about statements of faith or anything like that. We don't have corporate prayer on our set, and we have all kinds of employees. There's no statement of faith they're required to sign, like I just said. There's no offset clauses, like, off the set, this is how you have to behave, or anything like that.
He's talking about morality clauses, which, by the way, if you got to sign morality clauses with people, that's already a sign you're probably doing something wrong. It's like NDAs. Like, oh man, what are we doing? So he doesn't have that. I think that's actually a good thing.
So strangers to the show, or people online who keep saying the Chosen Inc. is a ministry or a church or should be like one, that doesn't necessarily make it true. Our company standards and practices, and my own personal calling and ministry and my personal life and how I run my business, it might not be the same as yours. Can that be okay? I mean, even if you disagree, can that be okay? Can how we do it maybe be different from how you do it? Maybe not. But it's just important for you to remember that we are a for-profit public company as of now, and because of that, we might run things a little differently than you would, and we certainly run things differently than a church or nonprofit or ministry. Second important point that kind of guides some of our principles on this. Solomon built the Holy Temple. I mean, this is the Holy Temple of God. And the labor and the materials, many of them came from what's described in the Bible as pagans, pagan nations, pagan workers.
Yep.
He got help.
And I covered this in my initial video. This is in 2 Chronicles chapter 2, and it breaks this whole thing down. I think it's,
when he asked the king, I believe, the king of Tyre, I don't remember how to pronounce it.
Right.
He referenced David, that David had done the same thing. And this is the Holy Temple. And it was built by what the Bible describes as pagans. People, but let's maybe not use the word pagans, let's just use the word people who strongly would disagree with Solomon or David in their spiritual practice. And you think also of like Bible. I've used this term before, when a Bible is printed. Do you think that the people who print the Bible, the people who deliver the Bible, are all of the same faith? Very likely not. And so our philosophy has been that if Solomon can work with people on a holy temple, with people who disagree with him, then so can we. Now, to be clear, I know some of you are saying, yes, we're okay with you working with people of different faiths, but we're not okay with them promoting something, their own agenda on set. And that's fair if you disagree with that. I'm not sure how that quite relates to the content of the show or how it relates to your particular life if you don't work on the show with me. But we can have a difference of opinion about that, and that's perfectly fine.
I think he's spot on here. I think Dallas is nailing it. You could have a disagreement on this. Cool. If you were running the show, you would make everybody sign a morality clause. Great. If you were running the show, you would make sure everybody was Christian and they met the theological litmus test of your camp, or they couldn't work on a show. Great. I mean, good luck trying to get anything creative done with those types of standards. But I think therein lies the tension. Like, can we disagree while remaining charitable? Or do we have to throw out the baby with the bathwater? That now, if you disagree with how something is or isn't handled, that means that they are the same as Target and the same as Anheuser-Busch. This is why I think people are losing me on this conversation.
But I'm just expressing our philosophy, and we don't find that anyone on our cast or crew are actively pushing anything in our face or saying things on set that are difficult or offensive. Now, this is another important point, and one of the main reasons why I have this philosophy, why I came into the show having this philosophy, because oftentimes the roles have been reversed. I've seen, it's happened both ways, but I've seen it also where Christians aren't allowed to express themselves at work or on sports teams, or when bosses force their employees to wear a certain thing, put on a patch, line up for some sort of cause, and or resist one of their employees doing it. And I would imagine that if you were an employee at a place that had different beliefs than you do, and you wanted to show up and have a crucifix or a Jesus Saves sticker or something on your own personal workspace, and they said, no, you can't do that, I don't want you to do that, you're triggering someone else or whatever, you would...
That would be a no. That would be a no. So the very same Christians that want freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of thought, that we want that, but yet we have an issue with other people in our spaces. That to me is extremely hypocritical. You can't demand that the Bible be not discarded as hate speech and all this stuff. You can't demand those things in a public square and then be offended if Christians are working with an independent contractor that they have to then adhere to all these things. Like the degree of cognitive dissonance and lack of just scales, I think really blows my mind on this. If the roles were reversed and you were working for an LGTB employer, you would not want them to tell you that you can't fly or have your WWJD bracelet on. This is insane.
I would imagine be not happy with that. We've seen that happen before, and people complain about it, and people protest it when they see it happening. And I would agree with that. I don't like that either. I think that's wrong. And so because I believe that that's wrong, even when the roles are reversed, then I would believe that it's wrong in my case, even if I disagree with something that someone may wear or post. Now, that said, we just agreed from the beginning, Amanda and I just said that this is going to be our philosophy. Now, if we were a church, or if in the description I provided, you're working for a political organization or something that has in its bylaws and as it's set up a particular statement of faith, then I think that's fair. I mean, again, I'm politically libertarian. I believe in freedom and that companies can do and operate how they want. And that includes, of course, nonprofits and ministries. And so if we were a church, my church has a different approach to hiring and whatnot than I do on my set. I understand that would be different, but we are not.
I find it extremely fascinating how many people in the social media space want to dictate to other businesses and creators what they are and what they aren't. I had somebody tell me this the other day, what you do is more like a church. No, it isn't. What we do here is a live podcast that encourages you to get your butt into a local church. This is not a church. This is not a ministry. This is not a nonprofit. Do we minister through the type of videos we make? Yes. I would completely categorize The Chosen as the same thing. So this entire thing of The Chosen is a ministry, The Chosen is this, Chosen, I think it's like, it's so asinine and backwards for other people from the outside of what someone's doing online who are just viewers to dictate what someone else's engagement is, or excuse me, to dictate what someone else's categorization is. If someone is not a ministry, they're telling you they're not a ministry, they're telling you they're not a church, why keep trying to hold them to the standards of a ministry of a church if they've been telling you from day one that is not what they are?
Number 4 in the list of important points. Look, here's the thing when it comes to our cast and crew and my own beliefs and philosophies. I'm not an atheist, and neither is the production company an atheist. But I'm happy to work with those who are, if they are working hard for the show. And I don't police their social media. I don't. My company won't make any kind of formal statement about atheism, or speaking out against atheism. Any disagreements I have with them would be discussed privately, and in the context of relationship and love. The content of my show speaks for itself, and the content of my show may end up, of course, disagreeing with atheism. But in terms of our personal relationships on set, it's just not something that we discuss publicly. I'm not a Catholic. Neither is The Chosen Inc. Catholic. I'm not a Mormon. Neither is The Chosen Inc. Mormon. I'm not a Buddhist or any other non-Christian religion. I'm not a liberal personal. Not that that has anything to do with the show itself, but I'm not a liberal, and neither is The Chosen Inc. I don't celebrate Pride. I don't celebrate Pride Month. I don't celebrate the Pride flag. If I wore a shirt, it'd probably say humility on it, just because Pride has gotten me in trouble. But neither does the Chosen Inc. As an evangelical conservative. I'm actually probably a minority on our set.
I think people need Dallas. Dallas has told you guys everything you need to know. He's a libertarian, evangelical, conservative who doesn't celebrate Pride Month. Nope. I need him to say Pride Month is an abomination. Like, he's literally telling you exactly what time he's on. He's literally telling you exactly what he believes. Nope, not good enough. He has to say abomination, satanic agenda. Why can't you just He told you what time he's on. He told you what the show is about. He told you what the show is not about. Nope. We need him to be more angry. Like, come on, guys.
What? That made no sense. Oh, no.
And here's the thing. Our cast and crew, the majority of them who believe the spectrum of things, including the things I just about, don't expect me to agree with them on everything, and don't expect me to celebrate their thing or celebrate their cause.
That's how sensible people are, by the way. Not sure if you guys know that. Sensible people in the marketplace don't have to agree with you on everything. Sensible people in the marketplace that are building something, they don't need you to co-sign everything that they're doing. They can just do what they're doing and you do what you're doing. And if there's opportunity for overlap and collaboration, great. If not, cool.
I love our cast and crew. I will go to war with them any day, and I will stand in the breach to defend them any day. And we are a family, and always have been. And we take that very seriously, even though we know we disagree on some big stuff. And I can guarantee you, some of our cast and crew have seen posts from other cast and crew, or posts from me or my wife, and have probably disagreed with them. Well, not probably, have disagreed with them. I'm sure we vote differently. But we love each other. We have conversations and disagreements in the context of relationship. And their incredible work on this project makes the show better. And if you love The Chosen, and if you love its message, it happens to be the only show, really the only TV show in the world that's unashamedly about Jesus himself and his message of salvation, it's largely because of the atheists, Mormons, Catholics, liberals, people who support issues you don't like. And yes, evangelicals and conservatives who work so hard for this show and for you. And I think those who are doing it, even though they disagree with me on some big issues, and are willing to still work for the show and work for the message, a message they might not necessarily believe in, they should be getting a thank you for putting the work and for putting the family above their own personal beliefs. And then here's another important point about all this is that you might be thinking, hey, well, why not just avoid the controversy, and why not just, make a statement to put all this away and maybe change your policy because it's causing so much trouble. I've said this before. We don't make decisions based on how people will respond. I'm not a reed shaking in the wind. You wouldn't want that. We lose viewers all the time.
All the time.
For multiple different types of things. And I guarantee you that some of the viewers we've lost have been because of something you love. A scene or a statement or something that you've loved and you've agreed with. But we've lost a lot of viewers because of it. And you would not want me to say, all right, you know what? I don't want to lose viewers. That's the most important thing. I don't want to distract anybody, so I need to make a decision or change my mind on something like that. You wouldn't want me to do that.
Yep. And this is the tricky part about being a creative entrepreneur is when you're building something, some people are not going to get it. That is okay. Everybody doesn't have to get it. Everybody doesn't have to agree. And sometimes the things that you do that causes you to lose viewers are the things that you do that actually causes you to stick to your vision, stick to your guns, and expand what you're doing. So the last thing any of you want is for creators to be blown back and forth by the comments and what people are outraged about.
So people saying, well, you should change your policy because it caused controversy. We don't do that. It's not how we make decisions. So, as I wrap this up, I just want to make sure that we're clear if you're choosing to leave the show or to not support the show or stop watching the show or whatever. If you are, I just want to make sure you're clear and that we're clear on what you are upset about or boycotting the show about. It's not that we promoted a pride flag. It's not that I made some sort of statement, any kind of political statement to show that the show did anything significant, or because the content of the show slipped or compromised, or you're upset about something that we actively promoted or anything like that. That's not what happened.
Yep.
You're upset or boycotting the show because our policy, my policy, I'll take it on my partner's policy, is that we just don't stop one of our crew members from having a 3-inch pride flag on his own personal equipment.
That's the disagreement. The crux of the disagreement comes down to that. You could do with that what you want. Their policy is they don't tell independent contractors what they will and won't have on their personal equipment. Specifically a 3-inch flag that was in 4 seconds of the video. If that causes you to stop watching The Chosen, cool, man. All right. I mean, my opinion is I think there's very few of you that were actually watching, and even less of you that were actually watching and financially supporting in any meaningful way outside of watching, that is actually going to cause you to leave over that. Now, initially, the way this was framed, which was full of lies and misinformation, was that they were flying a flag and endorsing Pride Month, which is not what was happening. So the important thing is to know what the truth is. And when you have clarity on what the truth is, then you have confidence in whatever decision you're going to make. And I think that's a W. I think Dallas cleaning this up and being very specific, that's a W. This is what the actual issue. An independent contractor, not an employee, not an owner, an independent contractor, 1099 independent contractor, who brought in his own equipment, had a 3-inch flag in a 4-second frame of a behind-the-scenes making of season 4.
If that's enough for you to stop watching the show, that's fine. That's your choice. I just want us to be clear that that's what it is, and not on these other issues or not on some of the headlines that you're seeing. So, look, I follow a couple of very important life verses, and I follow it especially in the context of this show. One is Colossians 3:23. Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord, not for men. So I'm doing this for the Lord,
Amen.
not for others. That's my primary audience. And then there's Psalm 34:5, my ultimate favorite verse. Those who look to him are blameless. They shall never be ashamed. I look to him. He's who I get my guidance from.
It's good.
I love you. I want you to love the show, but I don't answer to you.
Dish.
And I don't make decisions to avoid your criticism. I answer to God. I answer to my wife. I answer to those in authority in my own life. So, hope we can love the show together and continue to do this together, but if not, it's out of my control. Thanks for your time. I'm going to get back to making season 4. And I hope you do love it and watch it. If not, go with God.
All right, so therein lies what the issue is about. So I think Dallas did a great job of breaking that down. I think he said he answers to God ultimately, which I would agree with. I think the frustrating part is the misinformation, even in this chat, man. Some of you guys, listen, you guys know you're going to have to give. Let me say something, and I say this all the time. Listen to me loud and clear. Myself, Dallas, every Christian content creator, we're going to have to give an account. We're going to have to give an account for the words that came out of our mouth. But so are you. So the fact that some of you guys are right now in the middle of the stream lying and bearing false witness while he comes in and cleans all this up and says, we didn't endorse, we didn't fly a flag, this was an independent contractor flying a 3-inch flag, and some of you guys are continuing to lie, you're going to have to give an account for that. You're going to have to give an account for spreading false information, right? So I think this entire thing is super sad that folks will continue to lie and then do it in the name of Jesus. It's like trying to be a meth dealer in the name of Jesus. It's like trying to be a prostitute in the name of Jesus. You can't lie in the name of Jesus. Don't do that. Don't be a liar. Don't say something that is not true. It's not true that they flew a flag. It's not true that he endorsed anything. If anything, he basically said everything that all of us agree with regards to this specific issue without saying, I adhere and denounce and renounce the abomination, right? And those of you guys that need that, those of you guys that need those sorts of language, and that's like,
This is a sickness of the highest order.
So, and if you don't like it, then cool, don't watch. Don't watch. And just to be clear, just to be clear, so there's no one that thinks I'm playing defense. I'm standing with Dallas and The Chosen. That's my position. Very clear since the beginning of this whole back and forth. That's my position. I'm standing with Dallas and I'm standing with The Chosen. I have a relationship with them. I engage enough with Dallas and Daryl, and that is my position. I'm standing with Dallas. I'm standing with The Chosen. If you don't want to, cool. If me standing with Dallas and standing with The Chosen makes you not want to watch my videos, cool. I don't care that much. Right? It doesn't make a difference. But those of you guys that want your pound of flesh, or those of you guys that are going to lie on a fellow Christian brother because it fits whatever narrative you've made up about The Chosen going woke or whatever nonsense, you're going to have to answer for that. You're going to have to answer for that. Not to me. You're going to have to answer that to the Lord. Right? And so I think Dallas's response was solid. I think it was great. And I think they're going to continue doing amazing things as a show, and I'm excited where it goes, right? But this space where people can just talk any way they want about people, I'm with Dallas. When I initially saw that video, I was like, man, I don't know if I would have said, I don't answer to you. I think that was a bit harsh, because ultimately, what we do here, you guys are our boss, right? Like the viewers are our boss. But the viewers that want to be Pharisees, we don't answer to you. And that's where I would agree. The viewers that just want to complain and never actually are contributing, don't answer to you, right? This is why I don't even really read comments anymore, because some of you guys are living such a rough existence that your only way of being cathartic is to express disdain and frustration online in comment section and internet outrage. And I feel bad for some of you guys that you could get this upset about something even after there's been this much clarity given about it. It's just sad that people are still this frustrated. So those are my thoughts, man. I'm standing with Dallas. I'm standing with The Chosen. I think they do great work. I think they're going to continue doing great work. And I think that's keep looking for the outrage, I guess. I don't really know. I don't really know what to say about this. So anyway,
Our friends at Genucel Skincare have exciting news to celebrate in 2023.
Using Manscaped during my showers after workout has given me much more confidence.
And that's where Mudwater comes in.
True Classic has got your back.
All thanks to the sponsor of today's video, SayMine.com.
Established Titles is your opportunity to earn the title of Laird or Lady. Subject to credit approval, rates range from 7.99% APR to 19.99% APR, included 0.50% auto pay discount.
if you don't want us to make ads with brands you don't care about, sign up for our online community for as little as $5 a month to keep us independent and ultimately answering to you as our boss. You get all sorts of benefits like daily replays of our after party streams, exclusive access to our Discord community, and early access to our podcast interviews, all starting for only $5 a month.